Giannis Antetokounmpo once out of Milwaukee. He won't be traded to the Lakers, but a Giannis deal still impacts the purple and gold. We'll tell you how next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everyone for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every single day, Monday through Friday, sometimes on weekends, even on holidays, whether you're an Apple person, a Spotify person, maybe you're one of the 37,000 plus subscribers to the Locked On Lakers YouTube channel, because that's an awesome place to hang out. No matter how you do it, you're part of making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network in this or any other known universe. I am Brian Kamenetsky with Andy Kamenetsky, who covered the Lakers for nearly 20 years with the LA Times, with ESPN, with The Athletic, and trade deadline season. Andy has always been a very exciting part of each and every one of those years. Lots of stuff to break down there. We'll also give you a little bit of a health update on both Luka Doncic and Austin Reaves, and tell you about other big rumors that go beyond Giannis that would also potentially impact the Lakers. Do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code locked on for $20 off your first purchase. All right, we'll get to Giannis in a second, because the wheels are officially spinning with Giannis. It has now been made clear he would like to be moved out of Milwaukee, and so now the Bucks are looking to see what's available. It will impact the Lakers in one way or another. We'll explain how. But first, Andy, some health updates for who might be playing in this game Friday evening in Washington.
Well, the good news is, or potentially good news, and either way it is leading towards something good, Austin Reaves has been upgraded to questionable. Now, that does not mean that he'll be playing Friday versus the Wizards, but you don't do a move like this unless you are confident that you are moving in a direction towards playing. So at the very least, on the heels of the stay ready games and 5-on-5 and contact drills, things like that, they are increasingly confident that Austin will be returning on this road trip, and they are at least allowing for the possibility of Austin playing on Friday. The bad news, or at least potentially bad news, because we don't know yet, Luka, after falling off the court in Cleveland, which is a bizarre thing to say, but there's no other way to describe that effed up court that they have.
It's a ridiculous thing to have to say.
Right. It really is, but it's an elevated court because Cleveland loves to do dumb things. Just open-ended statement. Check out their quarterback room for the last 35 years or whatever. Luka hurt his ankle during that game. He played on Wednesday, played through it, but he is questionable for this game against the Wizards. So in a perfect world, we will have both Austin and Luka in this game. Imperfect world, one of the two. More imperfect world, neither of the two. But regardless, I don't think Luka is going to miss much time if he does miss the Wizards game. And again, we are moving more towards Austin back in the lineup. My guess is he will come off the bench, minutes restriction, all that stuff initially, but eventually back in the rotation, and that is a very good thing.
Yeah, so obviously JJ Redick will have the pregame update and all of that. We'll talk to you after the game about everything that happened, because again, sometimes on weekends. But let's get to the headliner thing, Andy. We're getting towards trade deadline. It's coming next week. February 5th is the official NBA trade deadline. And the thing that needed to happen to make the trade deadline potentially really exciting has happened. And that is Giannis Antetokounmpo has made it clear that, you know, he would like to move on from Milwaukee. That does not mean he will be moved.
Well, just so it's clear, didn't ask for a trade.
No,
he did not ask for a trade. He would never do that, man. He's 10 toes down in Milwaukee.
He's just.
This is a conclusion Milwaukee came to on their own.
On their own, without any help from anyone.
It's not in his nature to ask for a trade.
No, he's no Dalton Knecht.
No.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. We will get to that. We will get to that.
Yes.
Maybe. Well, to be fair, Giannis doesn't have the same kind of juice as Dalton, so he can't just be bossing folks around. So look,
Giannis is an employee of the Bucks. That's what he told Sam Amick from The Athletic, remember?
Just a guy punching a clock.
And eating scrambled eggs.
Everyone was waiting on this. This was one of those deals that had the potential to really paralyze trade markets until some sort of resolution came, because every team who thinks they might have a shot to put together a Giannis deal doesn't want to use up any of the capital that they would use in that trade for something smaller while they're waiting, and then find themselves unable to make a competitive offer. So this will loosen this stuff up. Now, none of this means Giannis is going to be traded to the Lakers. Certainly not at the trade deadline. The Lakers, you would agree, Andy, have a 0.0 chance of making a trade deadline deal that lands them Giannis Antetokounmpo, I guess, unless they're willing to trade Luka.
I would find it pretty stunning if they, and by stunning, I mean absolutely impossible. And I would go back to like when Luka got traded to the Lakers, assuming Shams and Windy and everyone else was hacked, because this makes absolutely no effing sense. Right. The Lakers,
this time, actually, if you see a report like that, they have been hacked.
Right. The Lakers just do not have enough stuff right now to trade for Giannis at the deadline. Like, frankly, I don't think they're going to have enough even at the summer and the offseason.
I would agree.
They have a couple more first-round picks at their disposal to trade. But for the time being, it's one first-round pick, Austin Reaves, who you need to get like a blood oath from him. I am absolutely staying in Milwaukee. Like, he needs to get Milwaukee tattooed across his face before you make the trade.
That's like pretty gangster.
Well, for Giannis, for trading Giannis,
you would need that. No,
with Austin as a walkaway free agent, they need that at minimum.
Yeah, and the Lakers have a couple pick swaps and then a bunch of expiring deals. Right. It is not nearly enough to land Giannis, but that does not mean that this potential trade isn't relevant for the Lakers. The first one is it just changes the nature of the market. I mentioned that before. There is more likely to be more movement because there's going to be a Giannis trade, which could be. There could be a Giannis trade, which has the potential to open up, a third team might need to be involved, or, little pieces moving around. Teams that don't get Giannis that might have been waiting would then be available to go do something else. So it just loosens up the potential trade market in significant ways. I have a couple other things that I think are relevant for the Lakers, starting with the idea that the Lakers could be a part of a Giannis trade without getting Giannis. There is a scenario out there, and I don't even know if it counts as a full-fledged rumor, but Miami might be a little more willing to move off of Andrew Wiggins to try to get picks that they could then transfer to Miami, which means maybe the Lakers could get Wiggins without giving up Rui Hachimura for a number one pick. I'm not talking about the wisdom of that kind of deal, but it's a different construct than what we had been talking about before. And so the Lakers could insert themselves in that deal to kind of facilitate it, but get Andrew Wiggins back or something like that. That's a possibility. Those kinds of things just become more live in a season where the Lakers don't have a lot to offer at the deadline, which I think ultimately probably helps.
Well, it just opens up more possibilities around the league, because a lot of people expect that until the Giannis situation is settled, like he ends up on a new team, there are going to be a lot of teams around the league who, whether realistically or because they are deluding themselves, are going to believe that they have a possibility of landing Giannis. And until that possibility is no longer live in their minds, they're going to hang on to a lot of stuff because they're worried that that could be the stuff that eventually turns into Giannis.
Right.
So if Giannis remains in Milwaukee, past the deadline, there could be a lot of teams who ultimately don't do anything because they've been sitting on their hands waiting for this.
Right. If you think you have a
out.
10% chance of being able to get Giannis or a 15% chance, it's probably worth waiting to see if it resolves itself. Maybe. I mean, for a lot of teams, at the very least, a lot of teams will decide that it will.
Well, a lot of them are going to decide that they have a 10 to 15% chance. Like how you land on that number in and of itself is very important.
There is one more, for me, the most significant way that a Giannis trade, at the very least, clarity about Giannis impacts the Lakers. I think there's one very, very clear way that I think is vitally important to how this team moves forward. We'll get to it next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Game Time. There is nothing like being in an NBA arena, that crowd, the energy, witnessing the moment in person. That moment, we all know it. But getting tickets, that part has not always been very simple. And that's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs with you, the fan. Regain your power. You can pull up the Game Time app, pick an upcoming NBA game, and you get tickets locked in within minutes. And there's an all-in price up front. So there's no surprise fees at checkout. There's no, wait, what the hell was this charge after the fact? And being able to see the view from the seats that you're buying, you can check those out. It makes your decisions easy, especially with an app that is super user-friendly, super user-intuitive. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time, NBA tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the game. Caught my spelling for a second. LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com. You're muted.
I am. Andy, you may not be surprised by my take on this. And I have a sneaking suspicion that you might agree with me. I think the most significant way that the Giannis clarity, whether it comes at the deadline where the Lakers have a 0% chance of making a deal, or in the summertime where they have maybe a 2% chance because they do technically have more things and they have cap space that maybe they could absorb. I don't know. You could get super creative. Maybe there's a way. But basically they're not in the Giannis sweepstakes right now. The most important thing for me is that it gives them an off ramp. It allows them to move forward without the temptation to wait and see. Maybe there's something we can do to get Giannis in LA. If not this summer, maybe it's next summer, whatever it might be. That is off the table, and the Lakers can move forward and proceed to building this team in a meaningful way with guys on multi-year contracts, and try to build around Luka without, the star effery, let's wait for the next bit. None of that. That to me is the most important thing about this.
Absolutely. I mean, clarity before the deadline would be great for the Lakers if they really want to try, as I'm hoping, to start building next year's team now. Start taking the opportunity to grab some guys that you think could be good around Luka. If you want to do that, as opposed to, I guess, just letting your expirings expire and just go the all cap space route, like whatever. If that's the case, then you want this clarity. You don't want to even give yourself what may be very false hope that Giannis is a possibility. Like, it reminds me of, years ago, during that period post Kobe's Achilles tear, but he had not yet retired. And the Lakers were taking these meetings with all of these names that, in all honesty, were, I think, mostly taking these meetings out of respect to Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just out of, we're not going to say no while Kobe is on this roster. But at the same time, we're not going to create an awkward dynamic of joining this team while Kobe's on the roster. Like, the whole thing was really messed up. But if you recall, Kevin Durant just declined a meeting. And I remember at the time, people were freaking out like, oh, I mean, the Lakers are, look how bad off they are. They're not getting a meeting with Kevin Durant. I'm like, no. Kevin Durant is doing them a favor. He's actually doing them a favor by saying, I'm not coming here. Move in a direction that may be actually possible. Like, you want clarity. Like, the worst thing that could have happened, because we covered those teams and it would have, if Kevin Durant had given them a 0.5% chance in their minds of joining, they would have waited that bleep out. I can promise you they would have. And it would have been a waste of everybody's time. And frankly, it would have been more embarrassing than KD just saying, I'm not interested right now. Now's not the time. Thank you, but move on. And the Lakers with Giannis, unless the odds really change in ways you and I don't foresee of Giannis joining this team, better to find out ASAP. It's not happening.
100%. And it's just, I'm not saying they absolutely would have, but like the Lakers, with some exception, have too often, I would say, found themselves in that sort of loop of temporary contracts of guys with 1-year deals, 1+1s, and things like that. Too many of the players on the roster tend to be free agents at once. And that's okay in the sense of, like, you always have flexibility and you always have, the possibility of trading expiring contracts, whatever all these things might be. But what you never are able to do is build continuity with your team, build a real roster that can grow together, where guys, you never know you're going to be somewhere for the long term, but guys can feel like they are part of something in the long term. You don't get that that creepy feeling as the deadline comes around, where like, oh God, expiring contracts that could be out here, all that stuff. You can't have 11 free agents every year, or 10 or 8, or like, it's a bad way to build a team. And so the Lakers,
continuity is really important towards winning a championship. The Lakers allow themselves very little continuity.
You also can't get, you cut yourself off from access to the best players in the league. I'm not talking just about the best stars. I mean the best players for each tier, for each skill set, for each, even if they're 6th or 7th guys, 8th guys on the roster, the guys who are best suited for that around the league, those guys get 3 or 4 year contracts. And if you want the best talent, you have to identify it and you have to pay for it in one way or another. And if you are always trying to keep flexibility and always trying to make sure you have options for the next big thing, then you are never going to be able to get the best players, the best role players, the best 6th men, the best whatever. It's not going to happen. And they need to get off that train and start building around Luka now.
Well, especially too, like the period in between when they won the championship and where they are now, even acknowledging the rust of it all and having to steer out of that. And in all honesty, Rob did, I don't think he made all the moves that I would have done as far as steering out of that. But as far as realistic expectations, Rob did about as good of a job as you could expect unwinding a trade that catastrophic. But I think the experience of the Russ trade having blown up so much in their face, and also that period of feeling stuck with LeBron and AD at the time, and clearly having doubts about the viability moving forward, but also having in their minds no better option. And this is an organization that does not know what to do with itself unless they have superstars on hand. So they were just kind of spinning their wheels, I think, not wanting to commit too much to anything because they didn't believe in it. Even if you want to say that they were justified on any level before, they're not now. You have a superstar in his prime in Luka and a lot of different, at least potential paths moving forward. If you are not willing to attempt building in a way that involves permanence with your contracts, like 3 to 4 years, like that type of permanence, then I don't understand what the point of having Luke on this roster even is, other than just selling tickets.
I think it's a great point. And so, it's kind of funny because on the one hand, do I have great faith in Rob Pelinka as a genuine team builder? I do not, but I really want to see him try. Like if my choices are Rob kind of waits around for the next truly genuinely obvious thing to come along, whether that's the Anthony Davis trade, the Luka trade. Yeah, that one seemed like a no-brainer. And so whatever it might be, the thing that's very clearly, obviously a good idea. I don't want to wait around for that. And so we're gonna have to just sort of put our faith in management to do the right things.
Well, okay. When we get back, I got one more thought on that, and then we can talk about some of the other implications from Giannis and
where other trade rumors that do impact the Lakers, like literally involve actual players from the Lakers and the teams they are talking to.
Plus an announcement about Jaxson Hayes. So we'll get into all that coming up next. Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. It's finally settled. The last team standing in the NFL. We know the matchup, Patriots, Seahawks, Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. And whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, you're like one of those guys in heat, one last big score, and then you're out of the game forever. This is the game everyone has been waiting for, where the predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every single snap feels bigger than the last one. It is the perfect way to cap off the season, make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. And if you're a new customer, bet just $5, you get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Before we keep going, I need to let everybody know, Andy, that the trade deadline, it's basically here. If you missed the first two segments, go back and listen to them. We're talking about it. We want to give you a free month of our new Everyday Club.
We make it clear, we are not offering a free month off of your rent. We are not offering that.
If you think of the Everyday Club, like the payment you would make to be in the Everyday Club, $5 a month, for example, as sort of renting space in the Everyday Club, then we are in fact offering you a free month of rent. If you think of,
I think you're dangerously close to offering something we're not, Brian.
Right. If you think of rent as the payment you make to your landlord on the first of every month, then we are not offering you that.
Okay. Back on the same page.
It depends on how you look at it. But anyway, if you need a group chat to keep up with all the chaos at the trade deadline, join ours. The Everyday Club gives you access.
Complain about your rent.
Right. Go there and say that you wish you got free rent instead of a free month to the Everyday Club. All right. The Everyday Club gives you access to the group chat on Discord for Locked On Lakers fans, plus national chats where you can hang out with the fans from across the league. Andy and I will be around. You can talk to, in those national chats, other Locked On hosts, get some great insights as next week rolls around. You get ad-free versions of the show as well, which we know a lot of you like. almost as much as free rent. And if you sign up by the
Which,
deadline,
to be clear, we're not offering.
but it's a nice consolation, the ad-free version of the show. So if you sign up at the trade deadline on February 5th, you can use the code deadline to get your first month of the Everydayer Club, not of your new apartment, for free. Tap the link in the show notes to learn more, or go to lockedonlakers.supercast.com. Okay, just wait for the subscriptions to fly in.
Quick announcement or a quick update before we get back into trade talk, rumors, whatever. Jaxson Hayes is going to be in the dunk contest. The hype off the East Bay Funk dunk against Chicago, which was an awesome moment. Jaxson Hayes and rookie Carter Bryant are thus far the only participants that we are aware of.
Mac McClung said no.
Yeah, well, you do this 4 times in a row as the little white guy, you really start
you do risk becoming a bit of a novelty act. My understanding too, and this is exciting. My understanding is if Jaxson Hayes wins the dunk contest, the Lakers are giving everybody a free month of rent. Just kidding. They're not doing that.
No, they're not. No, they are.
No.
But anyway, that's fun for Jaxson. And look, he's actually having a really good season. He might as well try to build on whatever visibility and momentum that he has, especially as an impending free agent. So, and he could throw down some pretty good stuff. So that should be fun.
It's also always, I think, fun to see what centers do when they're in the dunk contest. They're at a natural disadvantage because of how close they already are to the rim. So it is often very difficult for centers to impress people at the dunk contest. We all remember the sticker dunk from Dwight, which was so above nobody understood it. And
in real time, nobody did.
Remains one of the great misunderstood, underscored dunks in the history of that competition. And so good luck to Jaxson Hayes, who will be, since we don't have any rising stars to represent the team or anybody in the skills competition, I don't think it's Jaxson Hayes. So kudos to him for getting an invite. Let's talk about stuff that is related to the Lakers. Actually, no, you had one more point that you wanted to make. Go ahead.
Oh my God, I'm actually blanking on this now. We were talking before about what were we talking about before we
were talking about Rob building a team. You were probably distracted by my sales pitch for the Everyday.
Yeah, I am completely blanking on what I was going to say.
We'll come back to it later if you remember.
Right.
Let's talk about Dalton Knecht, Andy, because he is one of the Lakers to have expired.
Okay, I remember it now.
Oh wait.
Okay, here we go. Really quick. When you were talking before about do you trust Rob to build a team? And I've heard people say this as a reason why the Lakers should go all in now. However, all in you can go with this team this season because you've got Luka, LeBron, and Austin, and you don't believe in Rob's ability to build a team around Luka. So therefore, you should just push all your chips in the middle, however limited those chips are, however limited, frankly, the roster may be, because you don't trust Rob to build something around Luka from the ground up. If that's how you feel, I understand, but you need to recognize that's not an argument for going all in. That's an argument for firing Rob Pelinka.
Yeah.
You can't make this team more all in ready than it actually is because the circumstances of your GM and your lack of belief in the GM creates in your mind more urgency to do something now. The roster is what it is, and it makes far more sense to be prioritizing the big picture with Luka than this roster right now. Again, I understand if that's how you feel, but that is an argument for firing Rob, not for going all in. That's what I was going to say.
I agree with you. It's a point worth making. Let's sneak in this story. We didn't quite get to it. We touched on it a little bit yesterday. Dalton Knecht, Anthony Irwin, former host in this space and now hosting his own stuff. And with the Offsides Network, he reported was it on Wednesday, I believe, that Dalton Knecht and his team had approached the Lakers management and asked for a trade.
Right.
There are some conflicting reports about that. Our other friend, Trevor Lane, said he's getting his reporting says that didn't happen.
I heard Jovan Buha say that he thought he'd gotten some conflicting information as well. Some of this may be the semantics of requesting a trade versus demanding a trade
and
versus
approached or didn't approach.
Right, exacui.
Our friends are fighting, Andy.
I think they're all on
tremendous blood feud going on.
Right.
We're just going to stay out of it. But there's two things about this that I think are funny. The first is the idea that Dalton Knecht needs to demand a trade or ask for one for the Lakers to actually try to trade him.
Way ahead of you, buddy.
Right. That's the Dalton not wanting out has not been the impediment to getting him traded.
Nor is wanting out an accelerant.
Nope. Nobody wants you. I have seen a couple things probably planted either by the Lakers or Dalton's agents that, there are teams that are interested in him. And this to me gets to one of the important things to remember about Dalton. I have zero trouble believing that there are teams out there that'd be like, you know what, we'll take a flyer on the guy. Like, I wouldn't mind having, if you're, a lottery team or a team with a need for a youngish player who can give you a little bench scoring or something like that, I'd take a flyer on Dalton Knecht. The question is whether or not anybody would give you something of value for him. And I think that is where it gets really tricky. And as far as I can tell, based on people that we've talked to, based on all the reporting, it would be very difficult for Knecht's value as a player to be much lower than it is now.
Yeah. I think we're going to talk over the course of next week. When I was doing 710 ESPN today, filling in for John Ireland with Steve Mason, he raised the question to me about whether or not I think the Lakers ultimately made a mistake in rescinding that trade for Mark Williams, which sent Dalton and a first to Charlotte. The Lakers would have gotten Mark Williams. He has since stayed healthy, which is very unusual for his career. We can talk about that more next week, but that was, I think, the high point of Dalton's value. There's no question. Like, Mark Williams is a talented, if injury-prone, 7-footer. I don't think the Lakers could come even close to getting anybody like Mark Williams, even with all the injury risks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm seeing on the chat in the live YouTube thing, Mr. TD331 says he's on sale. I actually don't even think that really gets to it. The buy nothing groups on Facebook where you just put something out and you say it's free if you'll come and get it. That's kind of where Dalton is. Like, he's sort of free if you'll come and get him. Like, if you have a truck and can pick him up. You can
steal a joke from The Simpsons: free or best offer.
Right, exactly. Obviously this makes a huge difference, and it's made a big difference in what the total washing out of Dalton's trade value is one of the things that is really making the Lakers, hamstringing them not just on the floor but at this trade deadline, because he is their only youngish player drafted in the last year or two. That theoretically should have some value. Most second round picks at this point don't. And then, whiffing on the JHS pick, Jalen Hood-Schifino, who's since been released by multiple
Philly,
teams.
I think.
Philly, and I thought one other team. I thought he hooked on for like a 10-day, but I could be wrong. He's currently not in the league. So, like that, the whiffing on these last two draft picks has been a really big problem for the Lakers.
Yeah. I mean, whether you are talking about these players as actual players or whether you're talking about them as potential trade chips, these last two drafts have been pretty brutal for the Lakers. Frankly, you can talk about Maxwell Lewis, and unfortunately he had a brutal injury with the Nets that I'm not
but
even
never,
sure.
But never
he was not developing as they
Right.
hoped. Where have you gone, Taylor Horton Tucker? Like
Max Christie was the last guy.
Max Christie was a great job identifying a guy worth drafting, and then for all of the crap Rob has taken, in some cases very understandably for the contracts that he has or has not given out, Christie was one that when they signed him to that 4 years, $32 million, a lot of people around the industry who cover the league, a lot of people that Brian and I respect, they were very negative on that contract. Not only did the Lakers get that one right, Max Christie's now one of the best contracts in the league.
Yeah, no question.
I mean, he is a bargain. So hopefully the last couple years, Christie aside, have been a bit of a blip for the Lakers, and they can start getting back on track, because this used to be one of their better areas, young talent identification. And by the way, Austin Reaves has to be included in that as well. Like, Austin is clearly a win over the last few years. But it hurts them that they do not have these type of players, whether to trade or whether to have on the court to help them win.
So we'll be back
with Luka.
We'll be back after the game. It's a early tip on the West Coast with the Lakers playing in Washington. And we'll break that one down for you. Of course, we'll get deep into the trade line. If anything happens, obviously, we will put up a special show just for that. Locked on Lakers on YouTube. So we're going to hang out with over 37,000 subscribers to the channel. Check out the Everydayer Club. We'll see you tomorrow.